Hello everyone, this is Raman, and today's lecture we will discuss about the reference type. So in JavaScript, the reference types are very much similar to the classes which we see in the other languages like Java, .NET, and the value which we assign to the reference type, and that is very much equivalent to the instance of the classes or reference type. So first of all, we should know what is object. So object is basically an unordered list of properties consisting of name and value. And whenever that property denotes to a function, then it is called method. So with this definitions, you are a little bit confused what I'm saying, but let us do it practically. So our first task is to create the object. Create the object means if you see any programming languages or any object-oriented programming languages like .NET, C++, or Java, you see that you create the object of the class. So in JavaScript, we can do such kind of things, but it is little bit different as the traditional object-oriented language. Here also we use the new operator, which basically denotes that we are initializing the object. So let me take one variable called object equals to new object. So here what I'm doing, I'm creating one object which is of object reference type. Okay, and also this reference type is very interesting and little bit different from the primitive types. So reference type do not store the values directly to the variables, but what it does, the object variables store the pointers to which memory location it is pointing to. So say an example, if this is object 1, and we can define the properties like object dot, and these properties can be anytime you can create the properties. So I'm saying object dot name equals to say my object. So here what I'm doing, I'm creating a name property of object. So dynamically we can add or remove the properties. Okay, so here I'm adding object dot name equals to my object. Now if I want to print it, I can use console.log, or I'm using document.write here. So I'm saying object. Now if you put dot, you can see that name property is visible here. So IntelliSense is showing that in Visual Studio. So let me run it. So here you can see it is printing my object. Now say an example, I will take one more object, say where object say 1 equals to new object. So I'm taking one more reference type variable, object 1 and object 1. Now object and object 1, these two are of same data type. So I'm writing something like this, object 1 equals to object. So in this case, what is happening, I have declared two variables, object and object 1. And here I'm assigning object to object1. So object1 and object2 both are pointing to same memory location. So what does it mean? If I say document dot write br plus object1 dot, you see the name property is visible here, dot name, then it should print the same value because both are pointing to the same memory location. Now next topic is dereferencing the object. So this is, we are referencing the object, now dereferencing the object. So dereferencing is very easy. JavaScript is a garbage collected language. So we need not to worry about the memory locations when we use the reference type. So the best way to dereference is just assign a null value to the object. So if you want to dereference, you can say object equals to null. So it means we are just dereferencing or we are disposing this variable. Now next is that there are a couple of inbuilt reference types available in the JavaScript. So I'm just removing this. So there are a couple of built-in types. Built-in basically reference types. So first is object. So as we have seen in the previous example, we can create a generic object. Next is array, and array is basically an ordered list of numerical indexed values. So we will see in an example, this is similar to the arrays you see in the another programming language. Next we have date. Date is basically to indicate date and time. We have error. So error indicates a runtime error. Next we have function, which basically indicates a function. So here it is capital F, and then we have regular expression. So let us see. So these are the reference types. So let us see one by one. For example, I'm creating a where items equals to new array. So I'm creating one array, and which has initially there is no element. So to declare an array, you will write new array. And same way, if you want to declare current date time, you say now equals to new date. If you want to have an error, so you can say where error equals to new error, and here you can write something wrong. Same way, if you want to create a function, so you can create a function, say function equals to new function, and here you can define the body. So say an example, you want to write uh, document dot write hello world. Okay, next we have the object that we have already seen, and next is the regular expression. So you can say regular expression equals to new regular expression, and you can put the regular expressions. Regular expression is something which is a little bit tricky, so you should know the logic, what we are doing with the regular expression. Say an example, few very real-time examples are you are checking the email ID, whether email ID is valid or not, at the rate symbol, dot, these are used or not. So there we can use the regular expressions. So this way we can create the reference type variables. Now let's move forward. We will see the examples of all this, but not now. We'll see one by one. Now let us see the literal forms. These all are the part of reference types. That's why I'm covering in this topic. So literal forms. So literal basically it's a syntax is to define a reference type without explicitly creating the object. Say an example, I'm saying where book, okay, and I'm saying equals to. Now when I'm saying where book, so it can be of any type. It could be array, it could be date, it could be error, right? But here what I'm doing, I'm initializing. I'm saying where book name equals to JavaScript, comma, I'm putting year, colon, 2017. So what is its, I'm creating one book object which is having two properties, name and year. So if I print document.write, and if I say book dot name, okay, and document.write here book dot year. So if I run this application now, it will print JavaScript in 2017. Okay. So this is basically what we are doing. We are creating one object. This is object type, and which is having two properties, name and year. So other way you can write it like this as well. This will work as name. You can put it into the double quotes. So the output is same. So this is the other way. But if we write the equivalent code of this, so if I want to write an equivalent code of this, I'm just commenting it. And what I'm doing, I'm saying where book equals to new object, okay, and I'm saying book dot name equals to, I will put some object oriented programs in JavaScript. Okay, and I'm saying book dot year. Here I will put capital equals to 2016. So now let us see. So it is passed as well, and it is saying oops in object in JavaScript and 2016 as an year. So this is the equivalent code of this. Either you can write with this way or you can write with this way. So there are different way to writing the code, but the output is same. Okay. So even though when you are doing this, behind the scene JavaScript engine is doing this. Okay. So either you can write explicitly creating the object and assigning the properties, or you can use this syntax, which is more readable, more structurized, and it will print the name and year. Now let's talk about little bit about our array literal. So in array literal, we just see that how to declare the array. So I will declare an array, say where, say car equals to. So one way is that you can create a new array. So I'm saying new array. Okay, and you can define the array elements. So array elements, I'm saying say Maruti, comma, Hyundai, comma, Audi. So these are the, so now car is an array which is having three elements. One is Maruti at 0th index. On first index um, it is Hyundai, and on uh, second index it is Audi. So if I say document dot write, and I want to print element at 0th location, so I will put like this. So let us see. So you can see at 0th position it is Maruti, and same way if I want to print at first position, I just change the index, Hyundai. Okay, now the other way is to create the array, means no need to write this explicitly new array. What you can do, you can put it into the square brackets. So in this way also we are doing the same thing. So if I want to print the second element now, it is Audi. Okay, so this way we can access the elements of array and how the array literals are used. Next literal form is function literals. So as we have discussed that function is also a reference type. So function literals. In JavaScript, if we want to create a function, what we do, we basically we create or define the functions. Say an example, I want to define a function called reflect, and I want to pass a parameter as a value, and function always return a value. So in this simplest example, I am saying return value. So it will return whatever value I am passing. Okay. Now if I call this method, so I will call simply reflect, and I'm passing 3. A value I'm passing, I'm writing that value. Document dot write, so it should return 3. Okay, it is returning 3 value. So whatever value I'm passing to it, this is the function body. This is the traditional way to define a function in the JavaScript, and this is how we are calling it. Now same thing we can do with the function type. So in function type, so let me comment it. So what I'm doing here, where reflect equals to new function. Okay, this F is capital here, and JavaScript is a language which is case sensitive. So I'm saying value. So there are different function bodies here. You can see that different types of methods or overloaded methods are defined. So I'm using one of them where I can return a value, and I will say return value. Okay, I have passed the parameter and return a value. So here what I am doing, it is very much equivalent to this much, this function. This and this both are same. So if I call this again, so I'm calling reflect, passing value as a 3 and return value. It should give the same result, right? And also if you want to print type of this reflect, it should return the function. So if I say document dot write br plus, and if I say type of reflect, so it should return as a function. Okay, so this is the function literals. Now this all belongs to the reference type. So in next lecture we will see that which is, I will say, as a part 2 for the reference type, where we will see that how to access the properties, how to identify whether it's a reference type or not, and few things to identify whether it is there is one more concept which is called the primitive wrappers. So these things we will discuss in our next lecture. Thanks for watching.